Hi makers, today I'm going to show you how to make my jumbo knit Instagram background blanket. And to do that, you're going to need some Fair Isle Three Sisters yarn, which is their jumbo yarn. And you're also going to need US 50 25mm knitting needles. You can use straight needles or circular. I use circular, so whatever your preference is, because it's going to be worked flat, so whichever you prefer. Here's a little info about the yarn. It is 30% wool and 70% acrylic, so it does have some wool in it. And it is categorized as a size 7 jumbo, and that's no joke, it is very jumbo. And the color that I have in here, this purple color, is Orchard Heather. I would call it a mauve, but the purple is gorgeous. I'm absolutely in love with it, but I'm going to be showing you how to make the blanket in the gray color that I have. And for this video, I'm going to be using their Granite Heathered yarn, this pretty silver gray yarn, just because I want to have like a really good neutral color as my background blanket. So once you get your yarn, grab your needles and we'll go ahead and get started.
Start with a slip knot. You're going to have a small tail and you're going to have a loop at the top. You're going to take the tail and wrap it around your hand and pull it through where your thumb is. You're going to take the tail and pull tight, and you'll have the loop at the top. Take your needle. Then we're going to go ahead and start casting on our stitches. You're going to need 10 stitches, and that first one is going to count as your first stitch. To make the cast on, you're going to put your hand like so. You're going to have the yarn running through those 3 fingers. You're going to take the yarn and put it over your index finger. And you're going to take your needle and go underneath in that gap and pull it up and remove your finger. And that creates your first cast on. And you're going to keep doing this until you have 10 stitches total.
This project is going to be worked flat, so once you have your 16 stitches, you're going to pull up your other needle and we're going to work the knit stitch in every one of these. So to do the knit stitch, you're going to take your other needle, insert it from the front to the back like this. You're going to take your yarn, wrap it around that second needle, and you're going to pull it through this loop. There we go. It is going to be hard because of the cast on and how big in our needles and yarn is, so it's going to be, you're going to have to give it a little push to get in and out, and that should only happen with our first row. So that's the knit stitch you're going to insert in the front. Your needle is going to go towards the back, yarn over and pull it out and slide off your needle. And you're just going to keep doing that knit stitch on all 16 stitches. And once you get done putting a knit stitch in all of them, you're going to turn it around and you should see these bumps. And now we're going to be working on our second row. So for our second row and all of our even rows, they are going to be a purl row. So to do a purl, you're going to go in this direction. So you're going to insert your needle underneath in the back of the stitch and go upward. And you're going to take your yarn, wrap it around your needle, and you're going to go under and pull off your needle. So again, you're going to go from the bottom up through to the top. Wrap your yarn around. Pull it under like this, and now it's under this needle, and then you're going to slide it off your needle. And this is a purl. And alternating between knit and purl rows is going to give us the stockinette stitch, which gives us those really pretty little V's or arrows pattern on the front of our blanket. So we're just going to be putting a purl in all of these stitches. Alright, so we're just going to keep going with our rows. So all your odd rows, you're going to be doing the knit stitch, and a good way to keep track of that is how your project's working to tell what type of row you're on. So this is the front, our right side of our work, and you can see the V's or the arrows pattern forming already. So this is your right side of your work, and when you're on the right side, you're going to be doing knit stitches. And when you're on the back side, when you see all these little bumps, that's going to be your wrong side, and that's when you're going to be doing purls. So we're back to the right side of the work, so we're going to be doing knit stitches in all of them, and then you'll be on your back side and you'll be doing purls. So that's a good way to know what stitch you're on, is how the rest of your work is looking. So we'll go ahead and keep working on those repeats of knit and purl for the rows until we reach our final row, and we will bind off. Alright, and you guys are going to just keep going until you have 18 rows, and it should be looking like this for you. And you can see the bottom is curling up a bit, and that's okay. And once we reach the 19th row, we are going to bind off, so it should be a knit row. So to bind off, we are going to knit the first 2 stitches, and then knit 1 and knit, and then I'm going to use my fingers just because it's so bulky. I'm going to take my finger and hook it on the first stitch, and I'm going to pull it over the second stitch, and then I'm going to knit 1 more, and again I'm going to put my finger in there and pull it over this stitch. Just easier to do with your hands with this bulky yarn, so you're just going to keep doing that, knitting 1, there we go, and using your fingers to pull the stitch over this one, and you're just going to keep doing that until you reach the end. And once you reach your last loop, when you're binding off, go ahead and cut your yarn, leaving just a tad of a tail, and you're going to take out your needle and create a knot in that last stitch. And what I like to do is, again, use my fingers because this yarn is super jumbo. A needle really won't do the trick. I like to weave it in with my fingers. Do in the front and just go in different directions. So go up and down and just weave in that little tail with your fingers. Again, I haven't come across a needle that's big enough to hold this. Look how bulky this is. So just use your fingers and weave in the tail, and once you have done that, you can just cut the excess. I would like to do it in the back because we're going to be using the front for Instagram pictures, so make sure your little tail end is just in the back so no one will ever see it. And there is your blanket. So I'm going to move up a little just so you can see the size, and you can use it sideways, vertical. What I would suggest before you do your, put your projects and stuff that you want to take pictures on top, I would give it a good squeeze on the sides just to stretch it out a little bit to make those stitches really pop, and that way you're getting as much background as possible. And if you want, you can show the curled ends. I try to make it long enough so it's like the perfect square, so it is great for taking pictures for your Instagram stuff. So you can just lay something on top of it, take a square picture, and there you have it. That is how you create the Instagram background blanket. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial, guys.